Would you like to know the missing link between the body you want and the health of your gut? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's inflammation. And today I'm going to share with you how to wipe out inflammation so you can melt those pounds and be able to get rid of those chronic diseases and be able to live a drug-free life and be able to do the things that you love into a ripe old age and be independently healthy. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Krystosik, aka Dr. Good Carbs, and today I'd like to talk to you about inflammation, the #1 leading cause of most chronic disease. You know, it's not often that conventional doctors and functional natural medicine doctors can agree upon things, but when it comes to inflammation, we both agree that it is a major cause of disease. The only difference is our approach to get rid of that inflammation. Medicine, of course, they use prescription drugs. They tell you to use over-the-counter drugs. They'll use surgical procedures. They'll use drugs like aspirin initially, maybe step it up a little bit with some other anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen. And maybe if it gets a little more serious, they'll use things like prednisone. Functional medicine doctors like myself, we think food is the best medicine. So we will use things like oils that are healthy, fish oils and flaxseed oils, and telling people to eat fatty fish and avocados and walnuts and flax seeds and other things that have essential oils in them that are going to reduce inflammation naturally, cooperating with your body. We'll use supplements, vitamins. We'll use herbs like ginger and turmeric. You see, that's the big difference, is our approach. We can still reduce the inflammatory response in the body without the harmful side effects. You see, inflammation is a normal, healthy response in the body to injury or infection. When you have that inflammatory response occur during those times, white blood cells are released. Inflammation also triggers redness and also swelling. And so at that time, the body releases chemical reagents inside the body, chemical mediators that are inflammatory in nature. If they get real bad, it gets things like cytokines. You've heard of the cytokine storm with COVID. Well, those are inflammatory compounds that are literally very, very powerful, 1,000 times more powerful than things like histamine, which you're familiar with people who have allergies. Now, if you have an injury or an infection, you want that inflammatory response to occur. But if it doesn't turn off and it continues to be a chronic state of inflammation, that becomes a problem. And so, my friends, the key to being able to reduce disease in general is to reduce inflammation, especially in the gut. One of the primary sources of inflammation occurs in the gut. And if the gut isn't healthy, then you're not going to be healthy. There are several factors that trigger inflammation in the gut. Toxins being one of the biggest. The second one is stress. We all are exposed to stress. And then, of course, hormones can also trigger inflammation if they're not released at the appropriate times. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The #1, toxins. It can come from the foods that we eat. You know, Americans are not eating healthy foods. It's the standard American diet, SAD. Americans are eating a lot of refined grains, a lot of sugar, hydrogenated fats. They're eating a lot of animal protein, a lot of meat. And so these things really trigger an inflammatory response in the body. On the other hand, a functional medicine doctor like myself will include a plant-based diet with a lot of vegetables and fruits and herbs like ginger and turmeric, as I mentioned. And we'll use things that are healthy. Again, the oils that are healthy. We're going to try to use foods to be your best medicine. And then even if you have a pristine diet and you're eating the whole grains and you're eating the foods that are the complex carbohydrates that are really beneficial. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates. It's the bad carbohydrates you want to stay away from. So when you have even pristine foods like legumes, lentils, and beans, and other foods that are really powerful anti-inflammatory agents and provide fiber in them as well, then you could literally even have those foods could be problematic if you have an allergic response, if you have a sensitivity to those foods. And so over the next 28 days, I'm going to be diving into talking about these things so that you can overcome those foods that you're sensitive to and get a personalized diet so you can reduce inflammation inside of your body. Then, of course, toxins are also released from bacteria. You know, we've got good bacteria and bad and even ugly bacteria and things like parasites that are living inside of us. And if we don't control and have more good than bad, then we're going to have inflammation as a result. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to have those good bacteria outnumber the bad. And so most people go to the doctors and are getting, again, from conventional doctors, things like antibiotics to get rid of inflammatory responses and infections. We like to use, again, food as the best medicine. We use probiotics and we use prebiotics. These are the food that feed the bacteria so you can have a healthy immune system so the bacteria doesn't invade your body. We're talking about literally preventing all these things from happening. My friends, when you have these bad bacteria living in your body, they circulate harmful compounds inside the blood. And those compounds will go to every tissue in the body. And those inflammatory compounds will cause joint pains. They'll cause autoimmune diseases. They'll cause things like lupus and psoriasis. And you can have migraines, and the list goes on. You could have many different kinds of illnesses that are related, cardiovascular disease, all related to inflammation. And so what we want to do is reduce the inflammatory response. And one of the ways we do it is by correcting what we call dysbiosis, the imbalance between good and bad bacteria. Remember, we want more good than bad. We want about 80% good bacteria, and we want to have minimize it, have about 20% harmful bacteria. Keep that in check is what we want to do. But most Americans have dysbiosis because they're eating a poor diet, as we talked about already. And so the research is clear. Our bacteria is out of whack inside the body. We've got more bad than good. And of course, because of that, you gain weight. You gain those pounds that you don't want to have. And you also have those conditions that doctors are treating with medications. Over time, what that does is wear down your kidneys, wear down your immune system, and then you have more reliance on medications over the years. That overgrowth of that bad bacteria is going to cause many problems. Things like fibromyalgia and those types of things are all a result of those bad bacteria spitting out toxic elements that cause oxidative stress. What we do in natural medicine is we use antioxidants that you can get in vitamins and herbs and foods. You can prevent all those types of conditions by just using the common sense, the science that backs up the food as medicine, and literally, cooperation with nature. That's what we want. Again, the overuse of antibiotics and really disturbing the gut causes the bacteria that are harmful start to move up the intestinal tract and get into the small intestines, and you have things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There shouldn't be bacteria living in the small intestine, and so you end up with acid reflux and all kinds of other problems. So you really want to balance the good and bad bacteria. We're going to be talking about that, how you can feed the good bacteria and be able to get rid of the bad bacteria. We'll talk about strategies to do that. Stress is another one. Physical, mental, emotional stress. That's another factor that really triggers a lot of toxic elements, which then release inflammatory compounds. And then, of course, that leads into imbalance in hormones. That's another cause, a major cause. The third cause of inflammation, a major cause. And you end up with, because you're eating the refined carbohydrates and the junk food that average American eats, you have what we call insulin resistance. And that causes the body to release extra insulin because the body's not utilizing the insulin. The insulin is not getting the message to the cells to open up the doors to let the sugar that is running on the back of the insulin to get into the cells. So if that insulin can't carry the sugar into the cells because the door is not opening, the body then triggers a signal to send out more insulin. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. Get it? You store more fat. And the more fat you have, the more inflammation you have. Okay, and so it's a vicious cycle. More insulin, it causes inflammation. More fat cells, more inflammation. It's a vicious cycle, my friends. You really need to stop that cycle. The stress also causes your body to have things like depression and anxiety. And in the gut, your body produces hormones, significant body of hormones like serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. If that's not healthy, you're not going to have the correct supply of those feel-good hormones. Estrogen could be out of balance. Melatonin could be out of balance. You could end up having sleep problems. You could have so many imbalances of hormones because of the gut that's out of balance and the bacteria that's disturbed. All these things that I'm talking about are drivers of chronic disease. If you want to be healthy, you have to get to the root cause. And that's what we do in natural medicine. We're not just treating symptoms. We get rid of food allergies. We have many health benefits that we get from foods and the probiotics and the prebiotics. We get to find how to reduce the oxidation inside the body so that the body can use its own natural antioxidants. We want to improve and cooperate with the body. Glutathione is a powerful antioxidant, and many of these medications will block the ability for the body to manufacture glutathione. So we want to cooperate with the body. We want to feed the foods that are going to help glutathione to be produced. So I'm going to be giving you a lot of tips over the next 28 days on how to flush out the toxins so that you can get rid of the toxins that are inside of your gut and the ones that are circulating throughout the body, causing all those symptoms that you're suffering with. So my friends, I encourage you, come back tomorrow. I'm going to give you some information and tips that's going to really help you to move forward and be able to live a long life and be independently healthy. Now, the tip of the day today is to help to flush out the toxins out of the body by drinking more water. H2O, clean, pure water. Reverse osmosis is the best. And so when you do that, you should try to drink half of the amount of your weight in ounces of water. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds, you would drink 75 ounces of water per day to help your kidneys to flush out those toxins, to help your intestines to get rid of that. And the water in the intestines helps to flush out the poop out of your system as well. Because in the large intestines, that's where water is needed to collect, to rehydrate the feces, to let it go out smoothly out of your system. So work with your body, cooperate with nature. Until tomorrow, my friends, you can go to my website, theothersidemedicine.com, sign up to our Facebook group below, and learn how you can be part of a community to help to stimulate your body's own immune system, the power of the body to heal itself. That's what we do. So join us. Until tomorrow, I'm Dr. Krystosik, and here is to your health.